Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Capricorn in the month of October 2018. Hello, Capricorn. How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. As you can see, I went ahead and shuffled off a camera, so that's your main spread there. Going to shuffle now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all cards are out and they're lying face up, that's when the reading will begin, Capricorn. You can look in the description box for the timestamp for when the reading actually begins if you want to go ahead and skip ahead. Also down there is information on how to get a personal reading with me. You can go ahead and send me an email. Let me know what kind of reading you want. Pose your question to me, and then I will go ahead and get back with you within 24 to 72 hours, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and shuffle for your outcome, and the bottom of the deck will be your overall energy, okay? Outcome for Capricorn in October 2018, please. Thank you. All right, let's get it. There we go. Bottom of the deck is the overall energy. Ah, that's funny. When I was picking this deck up, that was already on the bottom of the deck. So, and it showed up again when I was splitting and doing the bridge shuffle. So, guess there's something for you there, huh, Cap? Cappy Cap. All right, let's go ahead and flip all these over. I don't know why I straightened them like that if I was just going to flip them. Oh, boy. Got a lot of serious energy here, it looks like. Oh, boy. You certainly do. All right, how's that look? Ah, you're crooked. There you go. And you're definitely crooked. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a... like everything to be in frame, and it looks pretty nice. Yeah. That'll just have to be what it is. It's so far away. Anyway. All right, Capricorn. That's what you got. Let's go ahead and find out what's going on. Please show me where Capricorn is in October 2018. Please show me Capricorn in October 2018. Please show me. Okay, here. Thank you. All right, Capricorn, coming into October 2018, you start off as the you start off with the Two of Cups in the upright position. By the way, this is the Santa Morte deck by Fabio Lestrani, in case you're interested. So this is very nice, Cap. I mean, what's not to dig? You've got these two figures here in a very loving pose, a very amorous pose, very affectionate with one another. And there's just this tight bond. There's this tight, very effusive relationship you have with someone, or that you want to have with someone if it's not in your reality. And the Two of Cups in the traditional tarot interpretation, especially the Rider-Waite deck, can be known as a soulmate card. One second. Excuse me. Apologize. I don't use that word lightly. I was just telling that to one of them a couple days ago, that I don't use that word lightly just because other tarot readers say it, or just because, you know, that's what people want to hear. But this might be an indication or a situation where you do have a soulmate and you do have someone who is particularly attached to you or connected to you, or you to them. And the other stipulation with a soulmate is that it does not have to be a romantic partner, Capricorn. It can be someone that you're related to in your family. It can be a friend. It can be someone that you work with as a colleague, or that you're in business with. The point of the deeper meaning to soulmate is that you guys connect on that soulful level, and you feel this connection. You, even when you're apart, even when you've hurt each other, or you haven't spoken, and due to a fight, or due to, you know, people getting busy in their individual lives, you're always going to have this connection with this person. You're always going to feel as though, like, you know their thoughts, they know your thoughts, you know their heart, and they know your heart. You know what I mean? And that's kind of really plain to see when, you know, you're sharing water or liquid between your two skulls, and the other is kind of has hands on the heart there in the rib cage. So there's this intimacy between you and another person. And if you don't have this person in your life, if there's no one who kind of fits this description or fills this role for you, I think that you want it or you've had it. And it's not coming together just yet, but since this is where you're starting, this is like what you're thinking about. It's popping into your head. This person is popping into your head, the relationship between you, the potential relationship between you, whatever the status is. And it weighs heavily on both your head and your heart, you know? The open skulls with the liquid in them, and then of course again the hands inside the rib cage. It's a very it's very crucial, I think, to you, Capricorn. And that's kind of out of your I don't want to say your realm, but it's definitely out of a Capricorn's average typical experience or typical focal point in your life. You know, Capricorn, your stereotype or your archetype, I should say, not stereotype, but your archetype is one of a person that works really hard, is interested in obtaining certain status levels within a work situation, within a family dynamic. Like, it's really sort of, for lack of a better word, about appearances. And you work hard and you have the fortitude to back it up. It's not for show. It really is, no, I'm going to be the CEO of this place and I have the ability to be that CEO. Or I'm going to marry this person and I'm going to demonstrate how much of a great wife or husband I'm going to be by doing XYZ while we're dating. So whatever you say you're going to do, you back it up, okay? You don't just blow hot air, okay? And this is not something that you would probably ever really profess to be, or if you did, it would only be to the person. So you're not walking around telling your friends, hey, Frank is my soulmate, and I'm going to show him that I'm his soulmate by doing this. Or I believe that Susan is my soulmate, and here's how. Like, you're really, like, this energy is really personal to you. You don't run around telling everybody about the significance of this relationship, the significance of the connection that you feel with this person, or how much you desire to have this connection with someone if they're not already in your lives. And it's interesting to me because, like I said, it's not usually at the forefront of your mind and of your day in, day out considerations. I think that this person or the prospect of having someone of significance like this comes into your head more often than not these days. And the status, again, you may have this person already in your life. You may not know them at all. You may have known them, but then you guys have lost touch with one another. I don't know. But it's just there. This deep bond, this deep connection, this being on each other's level and like being able to read each other's thoughts, finish each other's sentences. Like, you want that. If you've never had it before, you are dying to taste it. If you've had it, you want to taste it again. You need that. I don't like to say the word need, but you do need it. Like, I feel like that's a need for you. And maybe that's like why I feel so perplexed, because maybe you feel perplexed. Maybe you feel confused, or maybe you feel like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I, so thirsty, The thirst is real, Capricorn. I feel that you have a thirst and a deep desire, a deep longing to have this person in your life if they're not there, or for them to remain there at the capacity that they are there already. Like, if you guys are already married and living together, you're just like, I love my husband, I love my wife, I love my partner, whatever. And there's this feeling of just undying connection. And it's interesting because what's going on around it isn't super supportive, if I'm honest. Definitely not super supportive. Or at least it hasn't been. I feel that for some of you Capricorns, in order to get this, you've had to go through some mucky situations, some really crappy situations, and you've had to really reconcile things within yourself. Right across from that starting position, you have the Six of Swords, which is very similar to the traditional Rider-Waite depiction. But, yeah, well, yeah, you can't really count that, I don't think. So, in the traditional Rider-Waite, we're used to seeing, like, 2 or 3 people in this boat moving from troubled waters across to calmer waters. The condition of the water isn't really known. What's pointed out to me is the fact that this figure is by themselves. This person traveling with those swords and skeletons, okay, is on a solo dip, okay? And that's what I feel for some of you. Some of you have had a solo dip away from a situation going towards this connection that may not have been so anticipated by other people. Now that's my nice euphemism for saying some of y'all stepped out, some of y'all left a relationship to get into a relationship with someone else, or some of you turned your back on other people so that you could become friends with this person, something like that. And as much as that I feel was necessary for you, Capricorn, you had to do that because where you were was not where you needed to stay. You felt really like this urgent drive, this urgent push to get the hell out of there. It left some people in the lurch. It left some people in the dust. It may have left some people heartbroken. It may have left some people feeling betrayed. That is just a feeling. A feeling. It's not really here in these 2 cards. Maybe it's down there. But, and the thing about it is, yeah. Look at this guy. Look at that beard. You don't get a beard that long from being in a situation overnight. So that to me, again, is why I feel like you needed to do this. Because where you were coming from, you spent a long time there anyway. You were long time in a relationship that wasn't satisfactory to you, so you had to go. You were a long time involved in a business partnership that wasn't benefiting you, that was stressing you out, that was causing you health problems. You had to leave. And whatever circumstance you left, some people are feeling really salty about it. They're salty about it. They're like, how could you do this to me, Capricorn? How could you do this to us? How could you hurt the business this way? You had obligations. You signed a contract. We were married. Whatever it is, somebody back that you're leaving is really ticked off. They're hurt. They're angry. They're sad. Whatever. And that's their energy. Okay? You're probably aware of that. Some of you might feel a little bit of guilt or a little bit of responsibility, or it bothers you in some way, or it stays with you. But I feel that the fact that I have to mention it is to show the connection between the Two of Cups. As blissful as the Two of Cups is in stark contrast to sort of this escape that you had to do, like escaping in the middle of the night. Like, when they wake up or when they check their emails in the morning, they're going to see Capricorn dipped out. You know what I mean? And the color scheme of your reading is pretty dark anyway. Lots of blues and blacks, dark greens, not much color. So there's this feeling of things being done in secrecy. Why? I don't know. I will not fill in those blanks. You may fill them in. But there is this feeling of, I had to do it. Nobody could have known. Nobody knew, or I could only tell certain people about this because it would have caused a bigger upset It would have hurt more feelings. I would have been persuaded to stay. I would have been prevented from leaving. And in some cases, that is, in all cases, that's what you had to do. You felt compelled to do that. But in some cases, I think someone might argue to you, you didn't have to do it that way, Capricorn. You could have told me straight up. You didn't have to lie. You didn't have to sneak around behind my back. You didn't have to get other people involved. You could have just told me what you wanted and it would have been nothing. But in other cases, it's like, no, you absolutely couldn't have told this person that you wanted to leave, that you wanted to sever ties, that you wanted to be divorced or whatever, because they wouldn't have accepted it. And you would have remained where you were with your long beard, and you would have had no freedom. Like, I feel that this card is really aligned to personal freedom for you. And I'm all for that. You're moving towards something really beautiful. What's concerning is what's in the base there. Right. I think your resolve is what was the catalyst here. Like, you just decided. Not like quickly, not like flippantly, like I'm snapping my fingers here, but you did finally pull that switch. Or flip the switch, rather. You finally made the decision. You were kind of stuck. Like I said, with that long beard, you were stuck for a long time. And you had this 5 of Cups in reverse, which is informing and relating to that Six of Swords. I'll show you upright so you can become familiar with this card in the deck. And that's reversed. So where this figure is submerged up to the chest in water, and it's got that maze or labyrinth sort of contraption or construction within the skull space, within the head space. For a long time, you were running around in your own head, running circles in your own head about what to do about this, how to rectify it, how to reconcile it, how to make things better. How can we continue to be business partners? Can I continue to, absorb these costs? Can I continue to manage the business as well as, hire staff, as well as train, as well as go to conventions? Like, it was a lot on your mind that you had to do, a lot of responsibilities and obligations you had in this previous relationship, in this previous situation. And that consumed a lot of your thinking space, which is, again, you are capable of that, Capricorn. You're a very thoughtful sign. You're not very impulsive when it matters most. For a good time, for a laugh or two, you might do something on a whim, but a lot of your life is really thought out and methodical, and you really can get into a deep cycle when it comes to making the right move. Because God forbid if you make the wrong move, you're very upset with yourself, with other people, with the situation, with life, with God, whatever. Like, when you make a wrong step, or what proves to be a wrong step, you get really agitated and you feel really burned about the situation. So when it came to needing to dip, you wanted to do it the right way. And so a lot of your time, just before you dipped, just before you changed situations or moved away or moved out or broke off the engagement or broke off the business deal, whatever you did, just before that time, you were heavily, heavily consumed in your head. And the troublesome part for you is that this is a card of cups, and cups deal with your emotions, right? Deals with what you feel about a situation, deals with all of the emotions, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? So it was just an not even amalgamate, it was just like a cluster bomb, or, everything was layered together, and it was really hard for you to reconcile what you were thinking logically and what you were feeling emotionally and subjectively. And you had to really separate all of that. You didn't want to be impulsive. I think that would have been why I mentioned impulsivity, because not to say you're not an emotional sign. Every person on this earth has emotions. We just deal with them differently, and they come out in different intensities or on different levels. And for you, Capricorn, you usually keep your emotions in check. You're usually able to sort of predict and sort of go on a guideline or given my history, when this happens, I'm probably going to feel this. Like, you're methodical in your emotions sometimes. And I think because this was, whatever the situation was, again, a marriage, a business partnership, a friendship, whatever it is, it really meant a lot to you. What this person meant to you, what you guys built together, the home you built together, the business you built together, the memories you have together, it's a lot. And because it was a lot, you were stuck for a long time. Whereas if it was years later, years previously in the relationship, years previously, before you even signed papers to become business partners, you would have been like, oh no. If you felt you needed to leave, you would have left a lot more quickly, with a lot more assurance. This way of leaving with the Five of Cups, this idea of changing your circumstances with the Five of Cups in reverse, is also showing me some... you needed to be okay with sort of being insecure. Because with the Five of Cups is upright anyway, you're insecure. This is just a toning down of that, or like a watering down of that, or slightly less. Like, I feel that it's slightly less that you left feeling secure. You left, I'm getting like a runaway feeling. Like, it's like in the cover of night. This is my only chance. Escape, escape, freedom, freedom. So maybe for some of you, it's literally that. It was literally, you were in a relationship, you were in a living situation with family or friends where you felt totally like kept, like you were in behind bars or something, and people were really making all these demands on you, or making you feel as if you were no good, or making you feel as if you had no way to be on your own. Maybe this is the first time that you're doing this. Maybe this is the first time you're making moves to be an independent person, to live on your own, to be your own boss, whatever it is. And so there is this residual, sticky, like residue of insecurity while you're moving in the in the Six of Swords to the Two of Cups. So you were as sure as you could be. Like, I think you would have liked to have things, you would have liked it better if things were more wrapped up, if things had a more certain or concrete conclusion to them before you left, but you just couldn't take it anymore. So you had to go. You had to go. You'd had enough. The opportunity came upon you, or the gumption, the follow through finally hits you, and you're like, I can't wait any longer. If I wait another day, I'm going to chicken out. Or if I wait another day, they're going to talk me down from making this decision, and I've had enough. Now, you've got the Six of Cups in reverse right next door. So this is interesting because I'll show you upright so you can become familiar with it. And I say the only reason I say it's interesting is because traditional interpretations of this card and the Two of Cups would call them both soulmate cards. Six of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite is the one card where it's like an older child, like sort of bent over and interacting with a younger child, like maybe a pre-adolescent is interacting with like a toddler, and it's a card of nostalgia. It's a card of hearkening back and reflecting back on more innocent times, more jovial and joyful times in life, and there being this, again, this effusive connection between two people. In the card, maybe they're brother and sister or siblings or something like that, but as many tarot readers interpret that card, it's called like the return of a soulmate, the return of a loved one, the return of something from your past, if it's not a person. Now, the reason I said that was interesting is because I feel that could be true for some of you. So this Two of Cups person can be someone from your past. It can be someone who you've known before, either in this life or a previous life, if you believe in that, or someone who you connected with earlier in your life. Or they are reminding you of something from your past, or reminding you of another person or another situation from your past if they are not literally from your past. Now, that's as much as I want to connect with the traditional interpretation of this card, because what's really happening in this one, in this deck, is this person is by themselves carrying cups, and there's a little bit of a spill in her arms there. A little bit of a spill, right? But it's in reverse. So I feel that there was being with this person, moving towards this person, in some ways creates sort of a catastrophe, but it also avoids another catastrophe, is what I feel. Or it lessens it, or something like that. So what am I talking about? The fact that these cups are about to spill out of this person's hands, and the fact that it's in reverse, it's either lessening, it's not as severe as it would have been if it was upright, or it's avoiding that situation completely. It's avoiding a catastrophe, or it's sidestepping a catastrophe. That can go a lot of different ways, is what I'm getting. Also, if they're both soulmate cards too, yeah. Right, okay. So moving towards this Two of Cups person, whoever it is, or it doesn't even have to be a person. I keep saying a person. It can just be a feeling. It can just be sort of circumstantial. So maybe, like I said, in some cases, it's a changing of your living situation. So maybe you've had totally heinous roommates, and you're moving in with new people that you don't know, or people that you've known before, but you see what I mean? It's like, it's moving from a house that is not pleasant. It's full of drama. It's full of arguments. No romance at all. All the love in that house is the platonic type, but moving into a new home with new people, full of new platonic love. You see what I mean? So I keep saying the person, it might just be what you feel, how you feel when you leave one situation and go into another. This Two of Cups can talk about that. So I just wanted to throw that out there and not alienate everybody who's like, I'm by myself, I don't have a partner. That's cool. We've all been there at some point. Nobody comes into this, well, most people don't come into this life with like a programmed partner, so to speak. So this Six of Cups then would be, to me, it's showing that moving from one bad relationship or circumstance into this new, better, more positive, more loving situation, it will not completely get rid of the catastrophe or the spillage or the something is just not completely right, but I think it is lessening. So when you do move into the new apartment with your new roommates, your old roommate might call you up or send you text messages that says, hey, you didn't blah, blah, blah before you left, and that's coming out of your portion of the deposit, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're harassing you in a way, or they're being, just generally, like, somebody's, like, being petty. Like, they're trying to spill the milk, or, like, spill a glass of wine or something. It's just, like, it's not going to totally ruin your life, but it is this feeling of being inconvenienced because someone from before or something from before, again, is residual. Because, again, I told you this Five of Cups in reverse energy feels residual. Like, you're not fully done with it, and you're not fully done with this Six of Cups in reverse energy either. So, that's why I found it interesting that we started with this Two of Cups, and it was very positive, and I felt, and I still feel, it's very much what you want, it's very much where you want to be, it's very much who you want to be with. You feel great in this energy, but all the stuff around it is kind of stressful, annoying, like aggravating. Just there's a lot of BS around this that isn't easily wrapped up. It's not easily taken care of. It's not easily disposed of. Like, it's lingering. The person you dealt with previous to this point, Capricorn, they're lingering. The getting out of the contract is lingering. You're having to pay fees. You've got to get a lawyer. You've got to consult a financial person, or you have to go down to City Hall and you have to speak with L&I or business inspectors, whoever. Okay, if this is a dissolving of a marriage. You've got kids, you still got to talk to your spouse because you have kids together or whatever. Or you have to, maybe you're taking the kids with you, so now you have to change school districts and you have to go down to and talk to the superintendent. Do whatever. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be wrapped up before this Two of Cups can truly flourish. Whoever this is, whatever this is, you're able to enjoy this person or enjoy this new situation, but at some point in your day or in your week, you will encounter these other bits of energy that are, like I said, they're sticky. There's a lot of residue. It's not pleasant. It's like an itch you can't scratch. It's like a pebble in your shoe. It's just like, damn it, I thought I was done with this. And you take your shoe off and you try and shake out the pebble and it just won't go away. The pebble's not going away just yet. Okay? Now, you've got these triplets here, these 3 cards. And they were really going on back in July and August for most signs. You're only the second sign to get this. Gemini was the other. So in passing, that might be significant to you. You might have a Gemini of significance in your life, but don't connect that too hard. It was just interesting to me that you two, and I've only got 2 more signs to go, and so you guys have been the only ones to get the triplets. So I thought that was interesting. Now, also with the triplets, and I can't recall if I had you guys, if I did videos for you guys in July and August. I might not have, and I apologize. But typically when the triplet comes out, it's usually a separate storyline or one that informs what's going on in the 4. So let's see what's going on here. Is this a partnership? Okay. I feel like this is mostly like a past energy. I think this is mostly like what was happening well before you dipped, well before you left. And by the way, I'm saying you did this. If it wasn't you and you know it was someone else and you're the person who's irate, you're the person who's like, who the hell do you think you are? You can't just do this to us, or you just can't do this to me, then feel free to flip this. This is a general reading. But what I'm feeling here for your triplet is that this is mostly a past energy. It's kind of informing what's going on in the 4. And there's a heavy energy, obviously, of money, since these are 2 Pentacles cards, and they are kind of talking about accumulation and resource building and everything like that. So actually, I'm going to take these 2 together because I feel like I said, I feel like they're in a partnership together. And let's see. So what you have here is you've got the 8 of Pentacles and the 7 of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles would be on the left, and the 7 would be on the right. I'm pretty sure I'm doing that correctly. Anyway, so these are kind of similar to me, but and these are different. I'm gonna interpret this totally differently than the traditional Rider-Waite. So the 7, I'll go with the 7 first, and of course they are sequential. 8 and 7, they follow each other. So there's this idea of building. There's this idea of progression and stacking and all that kind of stuff. So 7 of Pentacles first. I feel like you or someone in your situation like was really hitting the books and really like crunching numbers, like working on a budget, working on business plans, working on if it was a domestic situation, like making sure there was enough money in the savings every month, and making sure that the kids' daycare was paid for, that the soccer, paying for the kids' soccer uniforms was done, all that kind of stuff. Someone was like really being meticulous, really, really focused on making sure all the ends were met and everything was like accounted for. Like a lot of accounting. Obviously, this person is counting on an abacus, so there's this idea of counting the beans, making sure accounts are level, making sure investments are going where they need to go, having a handle on renovations for a business perhaps, or a home, and, you know, talking to insurance or talking to whatever. There's was just a lot of financial and resourceful, or a lot of maintenance with finances and resources, okay? And it could have been you, Capricorn, since it is Pentacles, and Pentacles are related to Earth signs, so that's you, Taurus, or Virgo, but it doesn't have to be. But whoever did this is kind of like isolated. Like you can, because of the color scheme, like you can barely make out the figure. Like, you know, there's a person behind there because there's a hat and a poncho. But as far as like the face, it's like not the easiest to make out. So this person could have like really buried themselves in the work, or buried themselves in the accounting. And really, I feel like as much as this was a helpful energy to the situation, to the business, to the home life, whatever, it also was a means of avoiding something. So if I just focus on the money side of things, I don't have to worry about training the staff. I don't have to worry about hiring anybody. I don't have to worry about going out and facing the customers if I spend 12 hours a day in the back, you know, balancing the books, doing the stock, da-da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? And sometimes that's like what a lot of businesses sort of, how they thrive, or at least how they're structured. You have one or two business partners that kind of focus on the front of house stuff, dealing with customers, dealing with clients, you know, being the face, being the brand of the business. And then you have the other people on board, or the other partner who's in the back, like I said, handling the money, handling the insurance, handling the renovations, all that kind of stuff, making sure payroll's correct. So I feel that whoever that person is, the back of house person, they were doing it to avoid being out in the limelight, being out in front of other people. They really wanted to do this by themselves. They wanted peace and quiet. They wanted to avoid potential conflicts. If I do it, then there's no way it's going to be wrong. I know myself. I trust myself. I know my numbers. I have this down to a science, and it's going to be correct. So there was, as much as this is a person who's good at their job, or good at this aspect of the job, there's also this idea of, I'm just going to do it so that I can avoid X, Y, Z. Now, if this is a domestic situation and you're still like the person who's like, you know, handling the food budget, making sure that the bills are paid on time in the household, that was done. I totally get that was done to avoid intimacy in the relationship. So if this was a marriage, between two partners, like business partners, like one of you, might have been you, Capricorn, but whoever it was, they conducted themselves like, this is a business partnership, like we are doing this for the kids, we're going to do this to make sure that the bills are on time, we got to do this to make sure our 401ks are looking good and that our retirement looks good. But as far as like you and me being cutesy wootsy together, or being sexy wexy together, no, there's none of that. There's no emotional attachment from this person who was doing the Seven of Pentacles, the bean counting, the book balancing, the back of house stuff. This person was not exuding intimacy. They were not exuding affection. They were just totally shut down to that and only about the business, okay? Eight of Pentacles. Could be the same person. Is this the same person? Some cases, yes, this is the same person. Is this the partner? Less likely. Okay. So for some of you, this is still you, or still the person, whoever is represented by the Seven of Pentacles. This is still them. But this is more, well, I guess it's more emphasizing what I was just saying, where their focus was on money, resources, making sure that, you know, every check was cashed on time, and, you know, just trying to be above board in terms of money and finances, okay? And there's a strong focus on that. There's a strong focus on that. Okay, thank you. And this person who did this, they did it because they were also accumulating their own money, their own resources. So in a business relationship, I don't think anything shady happened. I'm going to say that. In some cases, maybe, but in most, I'm going to say no. It probably wasn't shady. But whoever this was, the reason they wanted to do it was because they wanted to make sure that when it was time to dip, maybe it's you, maybe it's someone else, or maybe when, you know, the crap was going to hit the fan, they wanted to have something to fall back on. So this person was smart. They were looking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. They were planning, they were plotting for their own security. All right? And this could have been the person who is irate. It doesn't have to be the person that dipped, okay? But there is this focus of, if I am there in the back with the books, I really don't get that anybody did anything shady. I don't get any feeling that anybody stole anything, but if anything, maybe they were like beginning to sort of separate the money, if that makes sense. So if this was like sales, right? Let's say you're in business, and let's say, for God's sakes, you run a coffee shop that also doubles as like an independent jeweler. I don't know in what world that works, but let's say that's what it was. And let's say partner A was in charge of like the coffee shop aspect. They were in charge of getting the coffee beans for roasting. They were in charge of the baking of the little goodies. And then partner B was in charge of the, you know, and one-of-kind bracelets that were on sale too. Again, I don't know in what world that business exists, but maybe it does somewhere. So let's say person A really had a lot of money in the door, because, you know, more often than not, people come in for coffee and snacks, teas and things like that, then they come in for like a piece of jewelry to a coffee shop. So person A brought in a lot of money, and person B knew this. So person B was like, okay, I'm going to balance the books because, you know, my jewels, they'll sell themselves. I don't have to be out there talking to people about where I source my jewelry from or anything like that. But so they're in the back and they're going over the receipts, and they're like, okay, coffee sale, coffee sale, coffee sale, coffee sale. Oh, look, a jewelry sale. And they were very particular about making sure that whatever money came in the door for their portion of the business, what they were selling, what they were responsible for, went into their own account or was accounted for, and they could point to it later and say, okay, on this date, we sold 4 pieces of jewelry, so you owe me X amount of dollars out of the joint account. I'm taking that with me when I bounce. You see what I mean? So there was like this careful planning from someone regarding money or finances or resources, because they knew when the crap hits the fan here, I'm going to need something to rely on. I'm going to need something to fall back on. And I'm going to need cash, or I'm going to need whatever. And yeah, this person, they got goals. They have goals. They had goals. They are a smart cookie, because for whatever reason, they felt this is what they needed to do to prepare themselves for being, like I said earlier, this might have been yours or whoever's first time being an independent person, having to fend for themselves. And so they prepared themselves to fend for themselves. It's probably you, if I'm honest. It's probably most of you Capricorns, because you guys are like that. Of the earth signs, you and Virgo, sorry Taurus, are probably the most forethinking. Like, you're trying to be a few steps ahead to make sure that things are accounted for. you're probably a little less impulsive or foolhardy than Virgo. Virgo will usually, not to bring them too much into this, but they definitely would be less prepared than you would be. You're probably the most prepared of the earth signs. So I'm feeling that this is probably you. And again, I don't feel like it's shady. I don't feel in most cases that it's going to be shady behavior. It's not that you lied. It's not that you skimmed the books. It's not that you cooked the books. It's not that you made up figures in order to take more money from your partner. Some of, maybe one of you did, and, shame on you, naughty, naughty. But I really feel that you were honest, to a point. Like, your business partner, your ex-husband, your ex-wife, whoever, was probably like, oh, you're doing such a great job. Oh, thank you, Capricorn. And you're like, yeah, I'm doing this because I'm getting the hell away from you. Like, that's where the shady part comes in. Is like, they thought you were just being, like, exuberant or, like, really, like you were really committed to the endeavor, committed to the business, committed to the marriage, committed to whatever. And you're like, I'm committed, but only until X date, because when that day comes, I'm taking everything that I've accumulated and I'm leaving. I get that feeling. And I mean, that's affirmed because you have, yes, thank you. You've got the World card above these two together. So to complete your triplet, you've got the World card associated with the fixed sign, so that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Maybe one or some of those signs are significant to you, but they don't have to be. And the World card is Saturn. Very similar. Yeah, okay, we'll get to it. But anyway, so there's something here about your growth, Capricorn. Growth. And your growth in terms of, like, where am I going next? What's next for me? Am I completely done with this phase of my life, this chapter of my life? If so, what's next? Because the World card is it's associated with the planet Saturn. It's also about life lessons. It's also about the passage of time or the completion of phases and stages in your life. And I mean, that shouldn't be lost on you. You've got this figure on top of a globe, so with an hourglass, right, in her hand there, so that's indicating the passage of time. With the world, that would indicate movement or travel, and that might be significant to some of you. Maybe like this whole, like I said, you might be leaving an actual living situation and moving across the country, moving across the world, whatever. And then also the scythe, for me, kind of would harken back to or remind us of the death card. And death is not like this mortal death, the way that someone might casually think of that word. This is more about transformational. So there's this heavy energy of movement, progression, transformation, and finding firm footing. But finding firm footing as someone you've never been before, or somewhere you've never been before, with someone you've never been with before, or with people you've never been with before, people you've never experienced before. So there's this idea of new horizons, new adventures, new agendas, new goals, new affirmations, new dreams, new, and wanting to have a firm enough foundation or enough stocks and resources and money to pursue this change, to pursue this progression. A lot of dream is, or not dreams, but a lot of potential is in the World card. If you choose to act on it, or partner with that energy, or welcome it in, or call it in. I feel like a lot of you called that energy into you. Like, a lot of you have manifested this situation. You're not a fan of this residual boo-hooing and anger and all that kind of stuff. That's not what you called for. But the idea of, I want to make sure I'm set up. I want to make sure I have a pot to piss in when I set out on my journey, when I set out on this new stage of my life, and I want to go towards something, or I want to go towards someone that loves me, supports me, that I feel a connection with. Like, this is it. You made this. You made this. Okay? And you should be happy. Like, I mean, it's a little dark. Like I said, the color scheme-wise, it's a little dark. There's a lot of this residual unfavorable, unpleasant energy. But for the most part, I feel that it's within your realm of working. I don't think there's anything here that you didn't expect, that you're surprised by. I think all the earth signs have been this way. Like, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. You're probably sitting there and going, yep. And if you're not, this wasn't for you. I encourage you to come back next month. But yeah, it's dark in a way that you can handle it. It's not so dark. It's not so sad or depressing that you have no way of reconciling or getting to a solution here. You're definitely capable of working with everything that I've talked about today. Everything. Now, what's your outcome for October? Capricorn, you have the King of Swords, right? Yeah, the King. I was like, of course it's the King, it's not the Knight. King of Swords. So there might be an air sign of significance in your life, a Gemini, Libra, or an Aquarius person, but it does not have to be. And for some, I think this is another person. I think this is someone who is significant to you. Again, it doesn't have to be an air sign, but this person would have the qualities of leadership. This person would be a great talker. This person would be, in a lot of ways, very... I don't want to say lucid, because that implies something else. But they would be very charismatic. They would be very wordy. Like, they would, to you, be very intelligent, very smart, very admirable when it comes to how they communicate, how they use their words, how they sort of give direction or impart knowledge to other people. So this could be a teacher, could be a counselor, could be a new business partner, could be a new romantic partner. It could be one of your new roommates or a new boss in some cases, because the kings are, like I said, in positions of leadership. And so if you're traveling, going, and this could have been a job situation, by the way, I didn't really mention that, but if this was like your job, that makes sense. Like, I want to be fulfilled, I'm out of here, I'm dipping, this was really painful for me or dissatisfying to me, I avoided some type of calamity, and I stayed here, I counted my chips, I cashed out on my 401k, and I'm going to a different job. And this could be your new boss. Just to quickly sandwich that in here. If it's not another person, then this is an energy that you would be borrowing from, or that you're aligning yourself with. So you're becoming your own leader or your own boss in some cases. You're becoming more vocal. You're becoming more, not necessarily charismatic, but certainly more dynamic or captivating in how you communicate with other people. And you're also not taking any crap. Like this, King, he kind of reminds me of the Queen of Swords from the traditional Rider-Waite, because he's got his one hand on the sword and it's at the ready. And, well, I guess the King does do that in the traditional Rider-Waite, but this is a lot more imposing or threatening than the traditional Rider-Waite King, in my opinion. Like, this guy, he looks like he's about to take somebody's head off. And I don't get that when I look at the King of Swords in the Rider-Waite deck. I get that when I look at the Queen of Swords. So a lot of you might be kind of in your no-nonsense energy. You might be, and if you're dealing with people who are in that residual energy, or people from your past who might be calling you up, might be harassing you. Oh, you're losing out on the deposit, blah, blah, blah. Or you owe money because you left this in the apartment. Or I'm taking you to court because I'm not going to let you have the kids. Or you're going to pay me alimony or whatever. You're like ready to fight. The King of Swords is in that. He's not aggressive. None of the kings are really aggressive. But when push comes to shove, The King of Swords will go there. The King of Swords will engage. The King of Swords will take you to the verbal cleaners. Like, he will read you to filth. He will make you feel like less than nothing if need be, in order to prove a point, in order to move his agenda along, whatever. He has that ability to cut you with his words, to cut you with his intellect. Okay, and so some of you might be aligning with that energy, and I think sometimes the King of Swords can be a lawyer, can be someone who works with the law. So this could be someone who's acting on your behalf, a lawyer, a counselor, not a mediator, because their job is to mediate, but you see what I mean, like somebody who would be arguing for your benefit. That could be who that is. And it doesn't have to be a lawyer, it could just be a friend of yours, it could be a relative or a father figure. Like, let me tell you something, you're not going to talk to my daughter like that, and you're not going to do anything, you're not taking her to court for these kids, and your dad like goes and puts his foot in somebody's you know what I mean. So that's your outcome for October. Yeah, I feel good about that. That feels pretty spot on. Now, your overall energy for the month is the Wheel of Fortune. So very similar, like I said, or I mentioned to myself, and I said it out loud, so of course you heard me. This is, to me, right now, very similar to the World card, in that there's this circular thing going on. The imagery with the hourglass and the two sights is very much involved there. But the difference is, of course, like, this is associated with the planet Jupiter. It's associated with fortune, luck, prosperity, expansion, and growth, and things like that. And so the Wheel of Fortune can turn in your favor, or it can turn against you, as you've got the white figure and the black figure, which, you know, traditionally black is bad and traditionally white is good, but that's kind of limited. And actually, good or bad is not really true in this world. Like, everything. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, I almost got like a little political, but I held back. Now, so I feel that in some ways this has been sort of like a roll of the dice for you, Capricorn, or it's felt like this journey which could have come in your favor or not come up in your favor, and you really felt like you were like rolling the roulette wheel. You know what I mean? Red or black, red or black, red or black, you know? And the final outcome might be pending for you. Maybe you feel like you won. Maybe you feel like you lost. Maybe you feel like your fortune has doubled and you're feeling super lucky and on top of the world. And in some cases, maybe you feel like, you know, you hit craps at the craps table. And, you know what I mean? But what I feel is, again, like I mentioned here with the World card, there's this idea of turning and progression and movement. And it is what it is. Because the Wheel of Fortune, in a lot of ways, is tied to what is divinely in the books, you know? And the outcome can be quote-unquote good or quote-unquote bad, but no matter what it is, that's what it was supposed to be, you know? Like predetermined, predestined. So there's that feeling of whatever bad, quote-unquote bad, came with this situation is equated to, or just as important, just as necessary as the good. As the good. Jupiter's not in the business of lessons. That's more of a Saturn energy. But like I said, I feel like they're kind of working in tandem. So if you feel some of this was good, some of this was bad, because Saturn's here to teach you this lesson as it's attached to the World card, you kind of have to accept it. But like I said, I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know. I don't think I'm, you know, bursting your bubble. I feel like I've been preaching to the choir for about an hour, and, you know, I don't think anything here is super surprising to you. I think this was more a reading of affirmation or confirmation, or in some cases feeling like you can let go of something, you know? Regardless of how it hits you, I hope it was helpful. All right, that was your reading for October. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope something resonated for you. If it did, please leave a comment below. I would love to read it. I would love to hear about what all this meant in your life specifically. And if you don't want to leave it down there for everybody to see, you can always email it to me. I would still appreciate reading about what's going on. And I will... Oh, right. I'm like about to sign off. If you like what you saw, there's a like button down there with a little thumbs up icon. Go ahead and click that if you want to. Also share this video if you want to, and of course subscribe to the channel if you want to. If you don't want to do any of those things, that's cool with me. I appreciate you anyway. And I will be back in about 2.5 weeks time when I do your November readings. Until then, Capricorn, I thank you guys so much. Take care. Bye.